Well, we do have breaking news in the last few seconds from Westminster regarding the Health Secretary Wes Streeting. So let's go straight to our chief political correspondent, Henry Zeffman, who is there for us now with more details. Henry, just bring us up to date.
Well, the breaking news, Ben, is that Wes Streeting has resigned as Health Secretary literally just in the last 2 minutes. I'm going to read you some of his resignation letter to Sir Keir Starmer. I'll be honest, I'm reading this for the first time as I read it out, but I'll try and get you some of the key excerpts. He talks about progress that he has made as Health Secretary and stats that were reported today. He says they are good reasons for him to remain in post, but Wes Streeting continues, as you know, that's Keir Starmer from our conversation earlier this week, having lost confidence in your leadership, I have concluded that it would be dishonourable and unprincipled to remain as Health Secretary. He talks about how last week's election results, those Scottish and Welsh parliamentary elections, as well as the English council results, were unprecedented, he says, both in terms of the scale of the defeat and the consequences of that failure. And the consequence he is talking about is the possibility of Nigel Farage and Reform UK forming the next government at Westminster. He says, we need vision, but we have a vacuum. Where we need direction, we have drift. And rather brutally, he says this was underscored by your speech, that's Keir Starmer's speech on Monday. He says leaders take responsibility, but too often that has meant other people falling on their swords. You need to listen to your colleagues. The heavy-handed approach to dissenting voices diminishes our politics. He says it is now clear that you will not lead the Labour Party into the next general election. He says there must be a debate about what comes next, a battle of ideas, not of personalities or petty factionalism. So he doesn't explicitly say there, although it's quite a long letter, so I might have missed it, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't explicitly say that he is standing for the Labour Party leadership and triggering a contest. But let's be pretty clear, that's what's happening over whatever time frame now develops.
And Henry, yesterday he had a brief meeting, didn't he, over coffee, supposedly yesterday morning with the Prime Minister. Presumably some of that is what he told Sir Keir Starmer. What happens next, though? What happens now?
Well, I think we need completely firm clarity on whether Wes Streeting is now saying to Labour MPs, I'm a candidate for the leadership and I want your backing. If that is what he's doing right now, then we have a Labour Party leadership election. And the next question is whether Wes Streeting can get the support of 80 of his colleagues in order to take that to the next stage after that, which is a ballot of Labour Party members. Remember, Sir Keir Starmer, assuming he wants to fight on, and every indication he's given is that he will fight on, will automatically have a place on that ballot. He doesn't need the backing of any MPs formally. He just is a candidate. There would then be a question of whether other candidates might throw their hats into the ring. Perhaps Angela Rayner, who, as you said in the headlines, had her tax affairs settled by HMRC this week. Perhaps Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, although where is that long-promised route back into Parliament? But given Wes Streeting talked in that letter about wanting the widest possible range of candidates, he appeared at least open to the possibility that there might be a longer process so that Andy Burnham can at least demonstrate, if he has the available option of coming back into Parliament, if there is an MP willing to give up their seat to Andy Burnham so he can potentially stand in a by-election. Lots of unknown questions, but one question that was unknown 3 minutes ago is no longer unknown. We know Wes Streeting has quit as Health Secretary and he wants Keir Starmer to be next out of the door.
And Henry, we were just looking at a picture of that letter. We started the programme saying there was uncertainty. Now, as you say, we have a bit of certainty. What is the possible timescale if there is going to be a leadership election? Are we talking about weeks or are we talking about months?
There's really wide latitude in the Labour Party rulebook for the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party, which has representatives of MPs, of party members, of trade unions and others, to decide what that timetable might be. And to some extent, that will be influenced by what Sir Keir Starmer wants to happen. I mean, we've generally talked for the past several years about the ruling National Executive Committee having a majority of its members supportive of Sir Keir Starmer. Whether that's still true, I think is a little bit in question. I think a lot of allegiances have shifted pretty profoundly in the past week, really, since those election results, which were, or the election contests were a week ago. For example, you had the amazing spectacle earlier this week of every single affiliated trade union signing a joint statement saying that Sir Keir Starmer would not fight the next general election as Labour Party leader. That included trade unions who have been instruments of Sir Keir Starmer's power within the Labour Party for several years now, as well as trade unions which have always been critical of his leadership and never supported him. So I think there are just a lot of unknown questions. Unknown not just because we don't know what's going to happen, but unknown because they are unknown in the minds right now over there in Downing Street of the Prime Minister, of some of his most senior advisors. I think there's a lot of people now who will be reading this letter, digesting it, perhaps even hearing about it for the first time from us, and working out what to do next.